Okay, I think I'm back. Sorry about that. For those who were in here, so I didn't realize that I had it on kids mode somehow. So nobody was able to comment, like even if they wanted to comment. Thank you, Candy, for letting me know. So let me make sure I'm actually live again. That sucks. 'Cause I was just getting into my flow. So let me see. Okay, it looks like I'm live again. Thank you, Candy. Thank you so much. Because I would have been sitting here like, dang, like, okay, but this is gonna be hopefully. I hope for this to be a short live anyway, just because a lot's going on. So okay, so like I was saying though, um, the guy he said that men should date 7 years younger because that's where they get their true masculinity from. And a younger woman is going to listen to you, but an older woman is going to challenge you, and you'll have arguments about bullshit. So I'm gonna get into like the rest of what he said. I read the whole thing in the first part of the live where you know, but I'll just repeat it later when I get to that. So overall, as I was saying in the last part of the live, that as far as like thinking that women should submit, I guess, for whatever concessions that like they will receive. You see what I mean? Like, so, okay, you could pay your whole rent by yourself, or you could submit and then you would only have to pay half the rent. Okay, whatever. Or you could be, or like, for example, um, somebody saying women would rather suffer than to submit, stuff like that. But as I was saying before, at the risk of repeating myself, I was saying that a person's not going to take a deal unless they feel like it's worth it. So if a person can, and I'm just using this as an example because that's one of the examples that was made, but if a person can pay their own rent and they feel like whatever you are bringing to the table, whatever you're providing is not worth them, um, it's not worth them giving up their lifestyle, it's not worth their peace, it's not worth having you around, then they're not gonna go for it. So yeah, I mean, to me that's simple, because if you go to the store and there's something that you don't want or you don't think it's worth the money, you're not gonna buy it. You're not gonna buy it just because, like, oh, it doesn't cost that much. Okay, well, if you don't want it, you don't want it, or it's not, if even if it's $5, okay, it's not worth $5, therefore I'm not buying it. So yeah. And another thing about that, I think, is that what Cynthia said is that if a woman goes half on the rent with a man, trust and believe it's not to help her out. It's only to help him out. So now I believe that it could be helping out either one if they actually need it. But I will say this: I feel that like black men, when they can afford it by themselves, they don't like. Those are the men that are not settled down. It's always the men that are broke, busted, disgusted. Those are always the ones that are with a woman. Why? Because they need somewhere to stay or whatever is you know what I mean? They, or whatever benefits they can get from being with a woman, whatever's like, I don't know, driving her car. I don't know, I don't know, because I never, so yeah. But one thing I've noticed is that men that can afford their own lifestyle, they are the ones that typically are like bachelors, or they're not the ones that's shacking up with somebody. It's the ones that really don't have shit going for themselves that are shacking up with somebody, because the black men that do have something going for themselves, they don't want to be bothered. They don't want to be bothered. So they feel like they have a right to not want to be bothered. But for some reason, a woman is supposed to want to be bothered with somebody who she doesn't feel like is really worth it, just so that she can save half on the rent. And so, yeah, that's bullshit. Um, I think everybody has a right to decide like whether a particular move that they're making is going to be worth their while. So yeah, that's another thing. So yeah, so just to wrap that up quickly, what I think about that is that I think sometimes men feel like just their presence in general is a blessing, but I guess what they're finding out is that, like, it's not, what I mean? It's not always a blessing, and it's less likely to be a blessing if it's regarding somebody that does not actually need you for something, you know? And I think that goes both ways. Like I said, a lot of these men, they're only in these shacking up situations just because they can't afford to live by themselves, you know? So yeah. So yeah. But as far as men should date 7 years younger, okay, he said a younger woman is going to listen to you, but an older woman is going to challenge you, and you'll have arguments about bullshit. Um, all right, so this is my thing. I appreciate an intellectual challenge. That's a good thing. I actually don't really like engaging with people that I don't think are that bright. And it's not because it just depends. Hey, the cynical one. But yeah, as far as like I don't really like arguing with people that aren't that bright or that I feel like aren't that educated. And I'm not trying to sound elitist. I'm really not. I'm really not. But the whole point I'm trying to make is it doesn't give me some type of like rush to be around somebody and feel like, oh, I can explain something to them or I can show something to them. Nothing's wrong with that. Sure. If you're talking about something that person doesn't know about it and they want to learn, then yeah, that's a great thing. But I feel like you should be learning from each other, you know, because nobody knows everything. So therefore, whoever you're talking to, they might know something that you don't know and vice versa. But as far as me like having a need to be the smartest person in the room or the smartest person in a conversation, I don't understand that. I don't know. Is that a male thing? Like maybe that's a male thing. But number one, it seems like you definitely won't learn or grow that way by only engaging with people that are less intelligent than you or less educated than you. But also it's like it shows like how precarious your self-confidence is if you feel like you can't feel smart in a room with another smart person. You have to be only with dumb people for you to feel smart, you know? That's a confidence thing. And so for him to say that men get their true masculinity from dating women 7 years younger because they can teach the woman, that's like saying, okay, well, so what if the woman didn't exist? Like, would you not have masculinity? And then it's like, okay, you're proving your masculinity by being with a woman that's 7 years younger than you. So you're saying that you're going out and choosing somebody who you specifically said is not. My cat is tripping right now. Okay, is not going to be a challenge so that you can feel like a leader, you can feel like a boss. But my thing is, that's like, okay, are you gonna race against a turtle? Or are you gonna race against a 6 year old? You know, so it's kind of like that. You're not really proving anything if you feel like you have to go after a certain group that is lacking something, you know, whether it's because they're still in their growing phase. You know what, Candy Cane? I hear you. And I agree with that too. And that's what Cynthia was saying. She was saying she thinks it's a manipulation thing. But I'm gonna aside from that, I will say that aside from that, I think that men do feel threatened when they're around women that they feel are intelligent or women that are not like dumbing themselves down or like shrinking to make the man feel more powerful or more needed or more wanted. And I'm not saying that that's always a bad thing. You know, I'm going to get to that later. You know, maybe you can do that for a man every once in a while just because you show your appreciation, whatever. But um uh okay, yeah, I remember in somebody else's live that I said that um I think a lot of black women be sparing these niggas feelings. And this is an example, this is a prime example of what I mean by that. Because like if you feel like a man is smart, this is my thing. Okay, so let me stop and make another example. And I made this example a few different times before, but like at my previous job, and I'm sure at my current job, but in my previous job, I worked with a lot of, very intelligent women, just very accomplished, educated and stuff like that. But guess what? Their husbands were also accomplished. Their husbands were also educated. So it wasn't something that they consider intimidating. So yes, I'm gonna bring race into it real quick, but I'm not gonna make it a only racial thing because I'm pretty sure white men can be guilty of this too. So but yeah, I just felt like you shouldn't have to have like more money or more educate. You shouldn't have to have that in order to attract a woman, because if that's what you need, that means like you really don't have shit going for yourself. But if a woman can have everything that she has on her own and she still wants you, that means you got it going on. You see what I'm saying? Because it's not like she out here fucked up. It ain't like she out here don't know what to do. She just lost in the world. It ain't like she need guidance or whatever. No, y'all two adults. Y'all can come together and have a meeting of the minds and have intelligent conversation. And he doesn't feel intimidated. He doesn't have to be an asshole. He doesn't have to be controlling. He doesn't have to feel like his masculinity is being threatened, because he's secure in his masculinity. So yeah, I think to me, that's a real man. When your woman, or let's just say a woman, has all that, and you can still approach her, and be confident. Or like a woman has all that and she has you around, not because she needs you, but because she wants you. Not because she don't know how she gonna pay her goddamn rent this month. You know what I'm saying? Not because tomorrow's the 5th, and you know what I'm saying? None of that. Not because whatever, whatever, because she wants you around. And obviously, I think women like that are in the best position because they can choose who they really want, or they can choose nobody at all. Like, if if somebody doesn't fit the bill, you don't have to fuck around with them. She can choose to want you. She can choose. Exactly. Um, Exactly. But like I was saying, I feel like they reserve their right to choose. You know what I mean? Because let them have they like, and I'm talking about niggas specifically. Let them have their life together. Let them have they shit, going how they want it to go. Let them have a nice paycheck coming in twice a month or every 2 weeks. Let them have a place to stay. Let them be able to afford all this shit. They not gonna have no woman living up under them. I'm talking about black men specifically. No, they're not gonna be doing that. It's only the ones that be out here fucked up, busted, and disgusted. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna get something out of being with the woman, whether it's gonna be like, being able to go half on, house expenses, or being able to have use of her credit, or whatever the case may be, or if she buying guns for it, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, it's in my opinion, it seemed like they have to be benefiting off the woman in order to like actually like be in the household with a woman. So yeah. So I think nothing's wrong. I don't think anything's wrong with a woman deciding, okay, no, I'd actually rather pay my own rent than to be with somebody, hey, that's just only paying half the rent. Now it'll be different if you're paying all the rent. That'll be different, right? Not even that you need him to pay your rent, but I'm saying if you're gonna be here, if you're gonna be in my goddamn face, you need to be providing something. It doesn't mean you have to be paying all the rent. That's not my point. But my point is you would have to be providing something to the point where she feels like it's worth her while. And that's not going to be with somebody, let's just say with me. That's not going to be with somebody that I feel like is ignorant or can't have a conversation with, or that has all these hang-ups and self-esteem issues. It's going to be with somebody that I find engaging. You know what I mean? Something I'm going to be getting something out of it is what I'm saying. Not just the fact that I could save half on the cost of my rent. So yeah. So I think that goes to another thing. I think that's another reason why they like to go for women that are younger, or because they could be more in need. You know what I mean? And you can exercise a level of control over somebody that needs you, but when somebody doesn't need you, then how much control can you exercise over that kind of person? Really, the only control you can exert over them is for what they actually feel for you, or how much they actually value you as a person. Because you're not also wielding like financial power or whatever the case may be. So yes, exactly, Candy. I think you were saying what I was saying. You said it already. I'm sorry. You said the men with low self-esteem prefer to be needed, making it harder for her to leave them. Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, so then that's why they like to browbeat women that don't need them, because they feel like, just I guess because they're men, that they're supposed to be in some kind of like special status, or like have the red carpet rolled out for them. They're supposed to be treated with some type of reverence, that they haven't actually earned in any type of way, just because, just because of the fact that they're men. But okay, yeah. So, all right, he said a younger woman is going to listen to you, but an older woman is going to challenge you, and you'll have arguments about bullshit. All right, so as far as I might be repeating myself, I'm not sure because because the first live was, I had to end it, but I like to have challenging conversations. I like to have conversations whereby I can think. I like to have conversations that are thought provoking, and I can defend my point, or explore, explain why I feel the way I feel, listen to somebody else's argument, decide for myself if it has validity. I like those kinds of interactions. And if a man wants to just be able to say something and have that be the end of the conversation, if it's why is it a fucking problem for her to have an opinion, or for her to have some type of thought or insight that might be different from your own? Like I said, that leads to the man being in a silo where that his brain is turned off. He's not learning shit. He's not trying to learn shit. And then he wants you to be stupid right along with him. So yeah, that's a problem for me, because I am pretty much have always been attracted to intelligence. I like smart men. I think it's because my daddy is real smart, you know what I mean? And I actually came to the realization like maybe last week. I was like, okay, I think I like men that remind me of my daddy, you know what I mean? So and that might be true for a lot of girls. So I think that's another reason. Sidebar. I think that's another reason why it's important for men to be present in their daughters' lives, because yeah, anyway, just being a father is really important, and being around your kids is really important. And the example that you set, they're watching you. So I will say that. So yeah. But yeah, so imagine somebody else saying something. You might have an opinion, but hey, Brownie, you might have an opinion, but because they said what their opinion is, then that's supposed to be the end of the conversation. Like, what the fuck? Says who? Says who? Like, okay, so if I can pay my own fucking bills, if I don't need shit from you, then why would that be the end of the conversation? No, if you don't like it, you can fuck off. But they want somebody that's gonna either be ignorant, so where they believe everything that the man is saying, or that they need whatever the man is providing so that they know to keep their mouth shut. So like that's why I titled the live, "If you're not dumb, you better fake like it." And I don't play that shit. Pretty much. Now I'm gonna give it a small exception later on, but yeah, in general, yeah, I don't play that shit. Okay, so he says a younger woman is gonna listen to you, but an older woman is gonna challenge you, and you'll have arguments about bullshit. So that reminds me of the fallacy called, I think it's a logical fallacy. It's called appeal to authority. And what it basically means is that, okay, because this person, like for instance, this person is right because whatever their position is. Okay, so for example, like if somebody says, whatever, let's just say a scientist says this is a scientific fact, and you okay, and so everybody else is just going to be like, okay, well, I believe it because he's a scientist. It doesn't work like that. They still have to prove whatever it is they're talking about. They still got to write a paper on that shit. They still got to, take measurements, and they got to report their results. They got to run all their statistical analysis and regressions and all that kind of shit, and the Z tables and all that kind of stuff. And then they got to get it approved by a panel of people that are educated in the field. So you don't get to just say, oh, because I'm this person, you're supposed to believe and listen to what I'm saying and not question what I'm saying. You only do that type of shit. You only say that kind of shit when you know that you don't really have anything to back it up. That's your only reason for wanting that to be the end of the conversation, because if you keep talking, she's gonna know how stupid you are. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's why these niggas don't like, quote unquote, talking back. Because to me, I'm not saying I want somebody that likes to argue, because I don't like arguing with niggas, but you should still be able to have a conversation without getting offended. So yeah. Now with that being said, I feel like masculinity is confidence and self-assuredness. But what this man was exhibiting, I would say, is insecurity. So yeah, it's just really ironic that he's saying that he has to pretty much go to a level that's lower than him in order to feel like he's higher. You see what I mean? So I'm gonna just keep reading what he actually said. He said, with a younger woman, I could tell them about Martin Luther King or Egypt, and they're gonna be more curious and attentive. Older women are more preoccupied and don't really want to talk because they feel like they already learned that shit. Okay. Now, this is the thing. If I already, okay, so he's saying that he got to find somebody that's at least 7 years younger than them, than he is, so that he can teach her some basic ass shit. You know, some he's whatever bullshit that he's saying about MLK or Egypt, that 90%, not 90% chance the shit is not even true. But he wanted to be like, oh wow, oh really, oh wow. He don't want to be corrected. You know, let him say some shit about Egypt and he's wrong. He don't want a woman to be like, actually, you know, this is the case, or actually I have this opinion, you know, based on that. So yeah, so to me that's not an example of masculinity. If you need somebody to dumb themselves down or basically like relinquish some of their power, or if you need to go after somebody that's still developing their power or their confidence or their intelligence or education or whatever the case may be, how is that exactly, how is that masculinity? That's the opposite. Because okay, so let's just say Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is not the champion because he beat up like a 4-year-old in the ring. That's not how it works. He has to go against everybody else. He has to go against everybody else that's called like, oh, that's a contender for being the best. And then after he beats all of them, that's when he can be considered the champion. You're not a champion because you get in the ring with a child. So it's like, if you're scared to get into the ring with somebody that's your own size, what does that mean? You don't really think that you're that fucking smart. You don't really think that you have that much to offer. You see what I mean? So yeah, I don't need to be around somebody that's 7 years younger than me to feel smart. If I think somebody is smart, I just think they're fucking smart, and it wouldn't matter how old they are. And if they are intelligent, I can acknowledge that they're intelligent, and I can have a lot to learn from them. But I could feel smart around somebody that's 10 years older than me. I could feel smart around somebody that's 20 years older than me. It's not about that. So yeah, it's just about knowing your shit and having confidence. So yeah, so and yeah, he said they feel like they already learned that shit. Okay. That's the thing. So this nigga still stuck on Martin Luther King in Egypt. You know, whatever, like I said, you know, whatever he's saying about Martin Luther King or Egypt is going to be some bullshit. But it's a problem since she already know about that. Okay, nigga, go out and learn something new so that you can have some new shit to talk about. We don't want to talk about MLK. We already learned that shit at the 3rd grade. Okay. We don't want to talk about Egypt. You know, we're not from Egypt anyway. So like, no, go out, read a book, go engage in some conversation with people smarter than you, and come back with something new to talk about. Don't feel offended that, you know, whatever bullshit you're saying about MLK or Egypt. Let's just say if you were saying something new about it, or, you know, something like thought-provoking about it, that would be different. But if you like, oh yeah, man, in Egypt they did this, yeah, MLK did, like, them, I want to hear that shit from you, nigga. Sorry. Yeah, like, he just knows that he doesn't have anything to offer somebody that's his own age. He knows that a woman his own age 9 times out of 10 is going to be the one to school his ass. So that's why it's a problem. But so therefore he's saying he got to go down to be with, in order to feel masculine. That's because you're not masculine. That's why you have to like go, you know what I'm saying? You have to go to somebody that's either less advanced or less developed, or, you know, Brownie, if you see the I had to, this is part 2, but if you look at the first one, okay, so I told ChatGPT to make my thumbnail. ChatGPT ain't shit. Why ChatGPT gave the black man a medallion that said king. I was like, damn, ChatGPT. But that's the thing. That's exactly how it works. The appeal to authority. All you got to say is, okay, well, no, I'm the man, or I'm this, I'm that. You know what I mean? So therefore, that's the end of the conversation. No, nigga, go read a book, come back with some facts, stand on what you're talking about. Don't think that somebody's supposed to shut up just because it offends you to be wrong, you know, or just because it offends you for somebody else to know some shit that you don't know. Like I said, intelligence, I'm not going to say intelligence is masculine. It is masculine to me, but of course it can be feminine too. You know, I'm not saying it's a masculine trait, but what I'm saying is I like intelligence to me is sexy. Like that turns me on. For a man to be smart, for a man to like actually know some shit and to actually like care about learning and knowledge and to know what the fuck he's talking about. That's a turn on to me. So yeah, go back and what I'm saying, go get your, go get some actual masculinity, and maybe you can have a conversation with a woman that's your own age and she won't be dismissing your ass. So that's all I can say about that. So he said that's not cool for a man. A man has to be a ruler and a boss. Okay, so that goes back to what I was saying about the ego thing. Instead of him just going out and becoming a smarter person just for the sake of being more intelligent, or for learning about the world around him or about history or whatever the case may be, he wants somebody to treat him like he's smart, even though he ain't do none of the work. He wants somebody to fucking treat him like he know what he's talking about when he don't. And in order to accomplish that, he's gonna go and get somebody that's at a less advanced level just so that he can feel propped up. Because if somebody knows more than him, or say if a woman his age knows more than him, that's a fucking problem, because he can't step up to the plate. He can't have an engaging conversation with her. She's not going to be entertained by what the nigga talking about, because he not talking about shit, period. So yeah, he got to go find somebody with stars in her eyes, like, oh wow, oh really? So not only somebody young, because like I said, I don't think youth really correlates really that much with intelligence or education, but not even just somebody just young, but somebody that probably ain't that bright either. And then make it seem like, oh, she's more feminine, like, get out of here. So yeah, like I said, that's like me showing off to a child. That's like, okay, let's just say you work at the damn car wash or some shit. And no shade to people who work at a car wash, but I'm just saying, you work at the car wash, you can come home and you can, whatever. You can go around the neighborhood and you can show a little kid $40. They go, oh, wow. You know what I mean? That ain't shit. You can't show that to no adult. So this is, to me, this is the same type of thing. So he said, yeah, they're gonna be clashing. You try to teach them something and they think they know. Okay, what if they do know? What if they do know? Is there a problem with her teaching you? Is there a problem with you going out and acquiring new information? What is this really about? You just want to be teaching somebody? So just because you want to teach so bad, you got to go out and find somebody dumb enough that's willing to listen to you. Okay. Yes. Candy says, and they already have to have a need for the method of control, aka needing money, and he shows up with it like a carrot on a stick. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I said that a true test of like your personality is like the fact that if you can attract a woman that has as much as you have, or can you attract a woman that has the level of intelligence that you have, or you know what I mean, or has a high level of intelligence. Because if she don't need shit from you, but she still wants to be around you, she still finds you engaging to be around, she still is able to have good conversations with you, even though she don't need shit from you, then what does that mean? That means you really got it going on, because she don't need your ass there. And you only going to be around her as long as you're benefiting her. When I say benefiting her, I'm talking about like in whatever type of way. It doesn't mean you giving her money. I'm talking about as long as she feels like she is getting more good than bad out of dealing with you, that's how long you're going to be there. The minute that you on some bullshit, you're not going to be around. So yeah, they know that they have to keep up like certain standards to deal with women that are their age. So yeah, they want somebody to be impressed by bullshit. They need somebody to feel, they need somebody to be dumb in order for them to feel smart. Okay, so I'm gonna be wrapping it up soon. Like I said, this was gonna be a short live, but this reminds me of another situation. And I'm not trying to, okay, so I'm not talking down, like, okay, so I like these people, right? So okay, so it was basically as a group of Black people that talk about like science, and mostly they talk about science. And I remember that like watching their channel at first, I was like I'm real fascinated by them, and I just love the fact that because this is my thing. I feel like maybe just being in this space, it just always feels like people talking about the same shit. And it seems like people not really having any intelligent conversations, and it always feels like you have to go like, you know, to other people in order to hear certain information, you know? So I really appreciated the fact that we had Black people talking about, you know, history. We had Black people talking about astronomy or genetics, you know, that I really loved it. But I noticed that like, and this is how I felt about it. Men really do have a problem when they feel like a woman is threatening them, like they feel threatened by a woman's intelligence. Because in that, like I say, I don't have no problem with these people. I doubt any of them in here right now, but I'm saying I actually like these people. I like them. But if we arguing over bullshit, or like you're arguing with me just for the sake of arguing with me, and I already know that that's not how you feel, but it's like you trying to find something wrong with what I'm saying. You can't find nothing wrong with the fuck I'm saying, and now you're mad because you just wanted to fuck with me, because you feel like, okay, well, I'm a female and I'm younger than you. I shouldn't be talking with this much confidence. I shouldn't be knowing what the fuck I'm talking about. I should not be talking straight logic and facts. You have a problem with it. You know, that it became like it was too much egos involved, you know. And like I said, that's a turn off. I'm not rude to people. I can admit when somebody else is right. I'm not about to argue with somebody just for the sake of arguing with somebody. But like I said, I think that a lot of masculine ego came to play in that situation as well. Because if a man is like in his 50s or something or whatever, and a very intelligent man, at the same time, they're still not gonna, a lot of them, if they're not going to appreciate it to be talking to a woman and somebody they feel is, you know, younger, and they probably thought I was a lot younger than what I actually am, you know. It's a problem, you know what I mean? It's just stirring up bullshit. And so to me, it got to the point where it was like, okay, I don't have time for this shit. I'm not going to be arguing with people every day. That's not what I'm here for. I got better shit to do. And I love listening to y'all. Y'all have very engaging conversations, but I'm tired of arguing with y'all. And it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. It's just not. So I wish y'all well. So, but like I said, I still like these people. I speak to them when I see them. I don't have a problem with them, but I'm only using that as an example just to show that, like, I think it goes beyond relationships as well. I think men just sometimes they just have an issue with like women not shrinking themselves in order to like make them feel comfortable, you know? Yeah. So a lot of shit you just gotta watch from afar. Cause I'm not, you know what I'm saying, I'm not playing dumb for nobody, period. So I think I'm about to wrap it up, but one last exception I want to make is, now there's this a saying that says like, or people say that it does make a man like feel good to feel needed. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. Yeah, nothing's wrong with that. But I think needed, there's different kinds of need, you know. So and making somebody feel needed is not the same as actually needing them. So it reminds me of a conversation I had on here. I was talking about like, it was a live I had about like stealing other people's man, and the basically like looking at that these situations with through a lens of different moral frameworks. But somebody else said something that, you know, I felt was really interesting. She said that this particular person, she has like a personality. Hey V-Dub. But she said that this particular person has like a really seductive personality, and she knows how to make a man feel, and not just sexually. And I can believe that. And she said that she believed. You funny, V-Dub. What I missed, V-Dub. So she said that yeah, she has a very seductive personality, and she could steal. There are some people out there that can steal almost any man because they know how to make a man feel, and you know, not just sexually. So I guess they know how to make a man feel masculine or whatever, like he's in charge. But keywords, make him feel. That's not the same thing as him being there. So nothing's wrong with showing appreciation to your man. Nothing's wrong with you Nothing's wrong with you gassing up your man every once in a while, but that's only if he deserves it. If he fucking deserves it, then yeah, gas him up every once in a while. Nothing wrong with that shit. Nothing's wrong with that. But yeah, something is very fucking wrong if you feel like you gotta gas up a nigga that ain't providing shit for you just so you can keep him in your fucking face, even though he ain't adding shit to your life. I don't feel like that because I'm like, nigga, if you're not adding shit to my life, then you don't need to be in my goddamn face. And like I said, I'm not talking about money. You know, I'm not talking about exactly money, but yes, make you feel good if you actually deserve that and if you actually are doing something that's worthwhile. So like in the example that I was given before, okay, let's just say two professional people, they're on the same level. Her pockets is matching his pockets, or damn near matching his pockets, or whatever, or she just could hold her own regardless. Nothing wrong with her making him feel like, you know, every once in a while, like he in charge, you know what I mean? Or he the one that's making all this shit work, you know what I mean? Like she need him a little bit. Nothing's wrong with that, but that's because he's doing what he got to do, not because like you just, I don't know, not just to make him feel good when he don't deserve it. Like I said, that's why I said in that live a couple weeks ago, I said y'all be gassing these niggas up, y'all be sparing these niggas feelings, you know. Y'all don't really be telling these niggas what they need to hear, and y'all really make them feel like they just really got it like that. You know, y'all don't really want to put these niggas in their place, you know, and let them really know that they don't really have shit going on. They don't really have shit that nobody could do without. They just got a whole lot of desperate women out here that's shrinking themselves. Exactly, Candy, exactly. They got a whole lot of desperate women out here that's shrinking themselves in order to appease some man that's a piece of shit. And that's a problem. That's a fucking problem. That's why the bar is so low. So yeah. But just to wrap it up, because I'm about to end this live because it's supposed to be short and I succeeded at keeping it short. I'm glad none of y'all ain't asked to come up because then I'd been on here all night. But yeah, Cynthia G, she made a video, and one of the situations she was talking about was a man saying that a woman could be paying the whole rent by herself, but she will say she wants a provider and she'll refuse to be with somebody that's only paying half the rent. She'll rather pay the whole rent by herself. I feel the same fucking way. And it just depends. Like, let's just say y'all young, y'all actually really in love, y'all actually starting a family, you know what I mean? You really like each other like that. Then yeah, okay, nothing wrong with y'all. You know, y'all both working hard. Nothing wrong with that. Like that's what my parents did. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm talking about if you got to the age where you know what I'm saying, you done made it by your goddamn self, right? Why would you sit up there and move a nigga in just so you could save half on the rent? No, nigga, I don't like you. Like, it'll be different if I like you like that. No, I don't like you like that. So no, I don't have to move you in. I don't have to split rent with you. So why the fuck would I do it? No, you're gonna be providing something, you know. And like us, and it makes sense to me if somebody says, okay, no, you gotta pay the whole rent. Because if you feel like, okay, well, I'm at the age where a man should be accomplished, he shouldn't need a woman to go half on the rent with him. I 100% agree with that. And a lot of men, they don't want their woman paying no goddamn bills. Because I remember my professor told me, yes, I'm going to talk about my professor again. She said the only thing she paid is her cell phone bill and her daddy's cell phone bill. That's it. And at that time, she was making like $150,000 at that time. So I'm sure she's making more now. But her man is a grown man. So he don't need her to go half on the rent with him. You know, but you know, to be fair, he is older than her. So just full disclosure, you know. But yeah, so yeah, I don't see a problem with somebody saying, "What? No, I don't want to." Huh, Daddy? You talking to me, Candy? Okay. All right. So yeah, I don't see a problem. Yeah, to me that tracks. Like for somebody to be like, yeah, no, I'd rather pay my rent by myself than be bothered with some nigga just so that I can save this much amount of money. No, nigga, you ain't worth it. Being around you ain't worth saving this amount of money. No, I'd rather pay it by myself. No, thanks. All right, so yeah, and then the other thing that she was talking about was the situation where the guy basically said that you should date women that are younger because you would be able to teach them. So I already said what I had to say about that, so I'm not gonna get back into that. And then there was this guy, he might still be live. But he went live talking about black women would rather suffer than submit. But let me tell you where he got it fucked up. He said black women would rather suffer than submit. Nigga, 9 times out of 10, being stuck with y'all is the fucking suffering. That's the fucking suffering. That's why women go out and do what they gotta do, right? That's why they go out and do what the fuck they gotta do. So they don't have to deal with one of you niggas. That's why. There's no such thing as no, you should rather suffer than submit. Submit for fucking what? So me suffering is going out and earning my own money so I don't have to like kiss your ass, or play second fiddle to a bitch ass nigga. That's what it is. Like you need somebody to not have an education, or you need somebody to not have money, or you know what I mean? Like, no, if you can't compete with a woman that got a job, you can't compete with a woman that got an education, then that means you're less than. You can't keep up with her. She's not the one that's the problem. It's like, okay, stay in your lane, go fishing like in a small pond, you know what I mean? Go catch somebody that need you in order to make the rent this month, because tomorrow the 5th, tomorrow the last day before you get a late fee. Go deal with them. Don't say that somebody else would rather suffer than submit, because the only suffering is the people that's stuck with these niggas and can't get away from them. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. I kept it short and sweet. I think it is overall under an hour. It was just a really impromptu live. I just had to get it out because I already knew like if I put it off, then I was gonna end up not doing it. So I was like, okay, let me just hurry up and go do this shit. So y'all, thank y'all for coming through. Y'all are the best. And I'm probably gonna be back maybe next week to talk about some philosophy again. Yeah. So y'all have a good night, and I'll see y'all around. Bye.